Hi, and welcome to Chapter 8. Chapter 8, we're going to get into some images on how to float images and how to change some background colors and background images and that type of thing, and use this thing called gradient. So this is the website we're going to start with in this particular tutorial. I think there's going to be 3 different things we're going to do in this tutorial, but this is what it's going to look like, and this is what we want to get to. Okay, notice that we've got the image over here. It's kind of nice border. It's got this little figure caption. Down here we basically have just a picture, a header, and some text. So if we start going through the tutorial, it basically, what we will do, again, I'm on the back of the book, back of the chapter. Oh, come on. So first thing we want to do is going to add an image figure. So if we go to our editor, so well, that's finished. Okay, so well, if I could find it now, let's see. So here's our current. Again, we always have all of these different tags up here, and we have a margin of 0 padding. This kind of like gives us a starting point. It gives us a base. We have an article, aside, details, fig captions. We kind of got all these tags. We've got them displayed as block. We got body. We go ahead and default the line height to 1.2. The ordered lists are going to have a padded left of 1.4 ems. List style is decimal. Unordered lists are going to be basically the same, except the list style is going to be square. Our table is going to have the border collapsed. The border spacing is 0. And then so that's the end of our reset of the browser styles. Okay, then from there we basically, so this kind of sets everything, gives us our base, and then from this point on is basically where we're starting at with the current page. So we've got our font size of 62.5%. Our .content class has got a margin of 15, the border bottom, H1, P, and then our .copyright class. Okay, so we've already got those kind of set in there, and if we look at the HTML, we'll see that we're not really using any of the class. So we're using this class content, which is right here, which has got a margin, a border, and a border bottom. Are we using anything else? Oh, we got our class copyright down here at the bottom. And again, if we look at our web page, we can see that that's basically showing up down here, and our H1 tag is basically showing up here. Okay, so we're going to add our image.figure. So well, let's just add it. So I'm going to add, so for all IMGs that use the .figure class, we are going to have it float right. We are going to have a margin of 10 pixels. And let's just go ahead and close out our tag at that point. Now let's do a save, and let's go into our we go into here, and if I do a refresh, did I do a save? I bet you I didn't do a save yet. Let's do a save. And really don't see any changes yet. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and add a few more lines. So we're going to add a border, of 1 pixel. It's going to be a solid. And what color is it going to be? It's going to be kind of a gray color, which is a 666. And the background color is going to be whatever a CCC is. And our padding, again, padding is what's inside. Our margins are kind of what's on the outside, is going to be 10 pixels. And that's basically all 4 sides. So I go ahead and save this. I come over here and do a refresh. And are you right? Are you in the right one? Okay, so one thing I forgot to do is we got to go into our HTML and we have to make sure that we have the, so we have to come in here to this image and we have to add the class dot figure and do a save, and now come back over here to this guy and do a refresh, and I still don't see it. I think I knew what I did wrong. So let's go in here and put a dot in front of it. We don't use a dot. We're just going to use the class. Let me save it and then go back over here and refresh, and sure enough, okay. So there's our float. There's our border. There's our padding. So we're basically making the padding inside of there. We've got the nice thin black border, and the background is that gray color. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we are going to, let's go into this guy. We are going to add what is called a figure caption. Now, this is a brand new tag in CSS3 or HTML5. So let me go ahead and grab this guy and then we'll talk about it. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come over to this guy and put it right below our image tag. So it's basically a fig caption, and it says figure 1, creeping, bent grass is bent, blah, 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 blah. So let me save it, and then let's go in and take a look at it and do a refresh, and it says figure 1, creeping, bent grass. Okay, so what it does is it makes it kind of this small print. But we'd like to have it attached to this picture over here, this image. So the way we do that is we have to come into this guy right here, and we have to use what's called a figure tag. So I put a figure, can't type today, figure, and then I have to put an ending tag around all of it. And I will do a save, and then I will go back into here and do a refresh, and oh, come on. Well, it's not working because we're going to have to add some more CSS to this guy. So if we come back over here, we are going to need to add something to the figure. So we're going to type in figure, and we're going to float that right. We are going to make the width the same as the image, which is, I don't think we have a width, do we? Anyways, let's go ahead and make the width 222 pixels. We will make the margin 15 on the top, 10 on the right, 5 on the bottom, and 10 on the left. Okay, I will add my ending closing brace. I will do a save, and then let's take a look at this and see, are we any closer? And sure enough, yep, it now put it, because since that image was floated left, because if you notice inside of our HTML, we have our image tag first before our text. And since it's before the text, it's going to basically want to appear before the text on the left-hand side. But since I said float it right, it floated that image to the right. And then when we added the figure caption, again, since it's before the text, that's where it wanted to put it. We had to float that as well. That's where we put everything within the figure tags, which makes everything float to the right. Okay, we have a margin for our figure and we have a width for our figure as well. And again, we get this nice little caption down here at the bottom. Okay. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we are going to add what is called a figure image IMG tag. So we type figure, so it says anything inside of a figure, or I should say any image that's inside of any image tags inside of a figure tag is going to have these properties. It's going to have a border of 1 pixel, it's going to be solid, and it's going to have a 666, which I believe is a gray color. We're going to have a background color of that CCC, and we're going to have padding of 10. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and let's see how that works. So do a refresh. Now, if we go back, now let's go back and look at this. So right now here I've got this figure dot or img dot figure, and we float it right, we do all this margin. Let's go ahead and take that out. Do we need that anymore, since we're doing all of that inside of our figure tag and we're doing it inside of this image that's inside of a figure tag? So if I do a save, I come back over here and do a refresh, we'll notice that now those two items are put together. We basically are floating the whole thing to the right, and we've got the image, or I should say the figure caption, inside of the image. So now those are treated as basically one item because of the figure. So the figure is floated to the right. We've got the any image that's inside of a figure is going to have these properties. If I have an image outside of that figure, it's not going to have the same properties. Okay, so we continue on. We're going to add something for our fig caption here. So I'm going to say fig caption, open brace. We are going to have our font is going to be it's going to be bold. It's going to be 1M big and normal. It's going to be Verdana, if that's available. If not, it's going to be Arial. If not, then Helvetica. Okay. And sans serif, meaning it's not going to have any of those little tags on the end. It's going to be a color of, it's going to be a color of 333. And the text align is going to be center. We have our closing brace. We save this. Let's take a look and see what it looks like now when I basically do a refresh. Notice that our text is now 1M. It's either Verdana, Arial, or Helvetica, whichever comes first, and it's a text align center. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a few more things to our fig caption. So I'm going to go ahead and add a background image. of linear dash gradient and we want to go to the bottom and we want to have the color of E6F 3FF and then go to white. Okay, so it's going to go to the bottom. As it goes to the bottom, it's going to start at that E6 color and basically go to white. Okay, I put in my ending parenthesis, my ending semicolon, and my ending brace. Let's add a few more things. We're going to add a border that is going to be 1 pixel dashed and a 666 color. Our padding is going to be 5 pixels. And now let's take a look and see what that looks like. Okay. So I do a refresh and sure enough, so it's kind of a blue color that fades down to a white color goes to the bottom, meaning it's going to start at the top and go to the bottom, and it gradients down and basically have a nice dashed border around that box. Okay. Okay, so now that's kind of end of that first little tutorial. So now let's look at the next one. And to do that, let's go to, so this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. Okay, really nice. Okay, now let's take a look at our starting point. So our starting point looks like this. Okay, so we just basically looks like an H1, and we've got some text here. We've got a picture with probably some kind of a figure caption below it. So let's see. Yeah, so we got to have a figure. We've got a figure caption, and we've got a div class content. Let's see what that looks like. Do we have a dot? So our dot content has a margin. Left and top, we got a border right, border bottom, we got a P caption, we've got a dot gallery, a dot figure, so H1, a P tag, and a dot copyright tag. So same copyright tag, so that it basically has this copyright down at the bottom with a dashed border around it. So we want to get from this to this. So how do we do it? So very first thing we're going to do is we're going to add some items to our style. So if I come down here, so let's go to the very bottom, and we're going to add a figure image, meaning all images inside of a figure tag are going to have this property. We're going to have a border of 1 pixel. It's going to be solid, not solid, and 666. Okay. We're going to have a background color of FFF, which I believe is white, either white or black. Might be black. Padding, which is all, since I'm doing 1, that means all 4 sides. And we're going to add a fig caption. And we're going to make the font 1.1 M. It's going to be Arial. If not that, Helvetica. If not, we'll make it the default sans serif font that's available. We're going to make the text align to the center. we are going to make the margin 10 pixels at the top, 0 on the right, 0 at the bottom, and 0 to the left. And we close that guy out. So let's do a save. Let's come back over here and take a look. And sure enough, there is our image now has a border and padding. Our figure text is now we've changed the font, made it center, and we put margin around it. Notice there's a bigger gap between these items here. So let's continue on. We now want to add a figure style. This will happen. This will basically take care of all figures, anything inside the figure. We're going to float it to the left. We are going to make the width is going to be 210 pixels, and the margin is going to be 0 top, 10 to the right, 10 at the bottom, and 10 at the left. And we are going to close that brace out. So we save it, let's preview it and see what that does for us. And ooh, now we've got everything kind of in line now. So now notice that since we have the everything inside of a figure, we now said float them to the left, and it basically will do that. Okay. So put that to the left, and that to the left, that to the left, that to the left, that to the left. And since this wouldn't fit on that line, it put it there. Now why is it centered? Because it's centered with the figure caption. Okay. So let's change a few things to kind of make it look a little better. So within our figure, we're going to remove the float, and we are going to type display inline block. We're going to say vertical align to the top. Okay, so display inline block is kind of like floating, where it's going to basically make sure that everything is in a line, but we're going to also say make sure everything floats to or basically is aligned to the top. It won't align to the center or the middle, but align to the top. So let's save it and then take a look and see what that does for us. Okay, so what that does, I got everything basically aligned. So the text align in a block is basically what we're seeing. It's kind of like a float. It says make sure everything is in line. If it can't fit, go down one line, and basically now it's not tied, the alignment's not tied to the figure caption, it's tied to that figure. Let's add some drop shadows. So to our figure image, we are going to add a box shadow again. It's going to be 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 4 pixels, and we're going to use RGBA. So RGB gives us our color. We're going to have 3 numbers for the color: the red, the blue, and the green, or the red, green, and blue. And then the last number is going to be how transparent do we want it. Okay, so I go ahead and make it 0, 0, 0, and 0.5 transparency. And let's see what that does for us. Really didn't do much, did it? We're looking for something like that, and we're not getting that. And let's take a look to see what they did in theirs. So their drop shadow. I think I got the same. Let's just make sure. We do a save, we do a refresh. Yep, apparently I typed something in wrong. Okay, so, yeah. Yep, apparently I typed something in wrong. Okay, so we now basically look just like that guy. These two are identical. There's our box shadow. It's only on the bottom and the right. We have our inline block. So everything looked good. So that looks good. Okay, so let's take a look at the next tutorial. And if we open it up, it basically looks, this is what we want to get to. Okay, so this is basically what we're looking to get to. This is what we're starting with. Okay, so we've got, looks like some H1 tags, we've got some unordered lists. So if we take a look at the code, so here is the basic code that we have. So we're using a wrapper class and a banner class. We've got a class main, we've got a class announcement, and we've got a class copyright. If we looked, there is basically all of our reset of the browser, and down here is so here's our wrapper class, our main class, our announcement class, and our copyright class. So we have those all set up, ready to go. So now let's take a look and see what we need to do. So we're going to open up the style class, and we are going to create what is called an HTML style. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste it in here. So now I've got HTML. It says we want the height to be 100%. The background image is going to be linear gradient from to the bottom. So from the top to the bottom, we're going to use this RGB color, and we're going to go to white and then 700 pixels. Okay. So again, it's going to go from the top to the bottom. It's going to start with this color and gradient into that color, and the whole thing is going to be 700 pixels long. Okay. So if we save this and then go out to our site and do a refresh, there we can see it. So there's that RGB color we chose, and it goes down to white. Again, 700 pixels long. There's our gradient color. Okay. So to continue on, we are going to let's see, do we have a wrapper class? So we have the wrapper class. So we're going to add another wrapper class. And we're going to make the background color FFF. So I save that. Come back over here and do a refresh. And notice inside of our wrapper class, it's all white now. So the FFF is white. 000 is black. Okay, so we're going to add some more to that wrapper class. So again, notice we've got two wrapper classes inside of here. So I've got my dot wrapper up here that basically is kind of for everything, and then we can actually add to that wrapper class. So everything, this will basically take into consideration, and this will take into consideration as well. So we can actually have two of the same tags, and it will apply to both. So anything that uses a wrapper class will basically get both of these different parameters. So we're going to add these three lines. So we're going to add a background image, which is going to be the bgmain.jpg. we want to position that to the left at the top. Okay, we want it to be to the left and at the top. And we do not want it to repeat. That means we only want it to display once. So I save this. I come over here and I do a refresh, and sure enough, there it is. So there is my image. Okay. So let's take a look at that image real quick. And that's basically what the image looks like. So it looks like we really kind of just have that hand floating there, but you'll notice we've already got the blue color in there and we've got the white line. So we're really not doing anything fancy, making that hand just kind of float there. So really what we're doing, we said make it float. So this is to attach the top and to the left, so it's up against the, now again, we're inside the wrapper class. We're not outside of the wrapper class. So that's why it's appearing down to the bottom and to the side a little bit. So again, when I look at it, yep. So that's that blue line going across there. Okay. We're going to add two more styles to the sheet. We're going to add this banner and announcement. Okay, so we've got a banner tag, which is it's got the margin top set to 48 pixels, and the announcement has the margin top set to 115 pixels. So let's save it. Let's take a look at let's see what we got going on here. So here's our banner. So our CSS missing, so that we're basically pushing that header tag down, and our announcement is doing the same thing. So we have our announcements. So here is our banner tag and here's our announcements. Those are going to be pushed down now because we're going to have margins at the top. So I do a refresh, and sure enough, that's exactly what it did. So I push the announcements down and it pushed this header down as well. It looks like it's floating on that line. Okay, so looking good so far. So let's add a main So let's add a main class that's going to be specific to the H2 tag. So any H2 tag inside of the main class is going to have this parameter. So there it is. So I go ahead and grab another background image. We're going to grab this underline, and we're going to basically say no repeat. Okay, and it's going to apply to every H2 tag. So if I come over here, notice I've got an H2 that says announcements. Here's H2, this lorem ipsi dollar sat. Okay, so we've got a couple of H2s. So let's see what that does to our item. It adds this line at the top of each one of those. It's probably not what we want it to look like. If you notice, we go over here, notice that it's below it. So we need to do something there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these two lines of code. We got background position, want it to be left bottom, and the padding bottom is 7 pixels. Okay, so let's take a look, see what it does first. We'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so what it did is it pushed it to the bottom of an H1 tag, and then we wanted the padding at the bottom to be. So make sure that it basically, if anything appears below this graphic, push it down a little bit. So this text gets pushed down a little bit. That text gets pushed down a little bit. Okay. So now we're getting close. We're getting close. We've got this image, and this image showing up on our page. So now we're going to add, we want to change this list right here. So to do that, we are going to grab, let's grab this guy first off. And we'll save it. And so we basically said list style none. If you remember what that's going to do, that should remove the bullet points. And I come out here and do a refresh, and sure enough it did. It removed the bullet points. Okay, so we're not done yet. So what we want to do is this. Let's grab all these guys. Okay, so if we take a look, we're going to have a background image of bullet.png. So let's take a look at the bullet.png. So basically it looks like a little, I don't know, let me see if I can zoom in. So it kind of almost looks like a, I don't know, a triangle box, a little red hash mark in the center. Okay, so we're going to have that as a bullet point. We're going to say background image, don't repeat it. The background position is going to be, so this first one is top and bottom, this next one is left and right. So the background position is 0, left and right is 4. Padding left, we're going to have 25 pixels to the left. So it means, yep, so that's on the inside. And then margin bottom is 10, margin left is 30, margin right is 40. So we save it, we go out and take a look, and now we have these nice little bullet points, okay? So we don't have to use the standard bullet points. And notice everything kind of shifted over a little bit. That's because of our padding and our margins that we just set up. So now, let's add to our announcement and this guy up here, we're going to add these lines into it. Okay, so we're going to have a background image. Now notice we're going to have 3 background images. We're going to have one called scroll top, no repeat, center top. That means it's going to be centered at the top. We've got a scroll bottom, no repeat, center bottom. That means it's going to be centered and pushed at the bottom. And then we've got a scroll middle, repeat Y. Now repeat Y means go repeat this way. Repeat X means repeat this way. We want that to be centered at the top as well. So what is that going to do? Let's take a look at those images now. So here is the scroll top. It's a scroll, now it's got the edge of the page coming down. There is the scroll middle. That's going to repeat this way. And then here is our scroll bottom. Okay, it's kind of hard to see. You can kind of see where the edge of the paper is here and here. So if you kind of guess what we're going to do, we're actually going to paste those 3 together. The scroll's always going to appear at the top, and the scroll's always going to appear at the bottom. And depending on how many bullet points we have, that middle part's going to keep repeat as needed. Okay, so if we save this and then come over here and do a refresh, look at that. So this middle part repeated as many times as needed to make it fit. And this guy always appears at the top, this always appears at the bottom. We've got some margins going on there and some padding, so life is good. Yeah, let's take this padding out of the announcements and show what would happen if we didn't use that. That's exactly what happens. So we don't want the text to appear on the scroll. We want it to appear in the middle. So we kind of know the width, I should say the height of each of the top and bottom scroll, and that's what we're going to pad for. So I come in here, and when I put the padding of 70 pixels at the top, 0 at the left, 60 at the bottom, 0 to the right. I'm sorry, 0 to the right, 60 at the bottom, 0 to the left. So now when we basically come back in here and refresh, now the 70 at the top pushes everything down, 60 at the bottom pushes everything up. And again, this middle part will grow as needed. And since the top edge of the middle meets up to that little piece, and the right edge, and if you notice, it really didn't match up there, did it? Or did it? I can't tell. It looks okay, though. It looks okay. I do a website for a friend of mine. And basically that's what this is. See these right edges over here? They are basically, I've only got one picture. Think of one sliver, and it's going to repeat X as many times as this is wide. So if I were to really shrink that down, notice how many times those repeat and when I zoom in. And same thing here, each one of these boxes, so this top part is really only this top part with an edge, and there's a little tiny sliver that goes across the green background, and again it repeats as many times as needed within this guy. And there's another one here, so there's a bottom. So what I have here is I got a picture at the top, which is a top frame, and a little tiny sliver, which is just basically the middle part, and this bottom edge is the bottom edge of the frame. And again, this middle part repeats as many times as needed because of the text inside there. And that's how I can make these boxes fit around the text, which is really kind of nice. So, so they want us to go to they want us to add the margin left and right. Did we do that? Yeah, we've already done that. Okay. So, as you can see, we can have multiple pictures within one class, and all we have to do is this. We just say the background is that, that, and that. It's going to put that one first, then that one, then that one. And they will basically not be one on top of the other. Post one first, then one next, one other. And since I said repeat this middle part, repeat this way, the Y, it basically do just that depending on how much text I have. So if I were to come into here, and let me go ahead and get rid of a bunch of these bullet points. I'll do a save and come back out here and do a refresh. Watch how that scroll just changed, which is really cool. So it made it fit. It made this scroll fit however big the text is. I can actually just go ahead and put all of that back. Maybe take out 3 of them this time. Back in here, do a refresh. Again, that scroll middle part will basically shrink and repeat as many times as it need to fit that text. So really, really neat how that works. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure you give me a call. Work on this stuff. Go through the book, do the readings, make sure you do your quizzes, and we'll see you next time.